Holy moly. Get this camera set up. Sorry for the lighting, guys. This is my first Periscope. This is Shane, co-founder of the Zen Float Company. You might recognize that big old beast of a float tank. That is called the Zen Float Tent. Oh, I think we got it. Ta-da! All right, guys, Shane, Zen Float Company. Thank you for getting out for our first Periscope. Having a little difficulties with the camera, but I think I got it now. Just want to thank you so much for being here, and I'm going to talk about the Zen Float Tent. So I'm guessing there's probably some people on this Periscope that aren't familiar with floating, and I want to explain it a bit. So what floating is, you have this big environment, and I call it a meditation environment. Not everyone uses it for meditating, but this is a float tank. So inside of here is pitch freaking black. Like literally you can't see anything. And in this pitch black kind of chamber, there's 10 inches of water and it's heated skin temperature. So 93.5 degrees is your skin temperature. And what you do is you get in this, and in that 10 inches of water is 800 pounds of salt. So you're lying there in this tank in 10 inches of water, and you're totally floating because that salt just sends you right to the surface. You're totally floating on the salt, and you can't feel the water because it's the same temperature as your skin. Same thing with the air. It takes on that 93.5 and you can't feel anything, and your mind starts to kind of freak out just a little bit because you don't know, you've always had sensory stimulus. Even when you're in bed, it's not perfectly comfortable. You can feel things, you're irritated, there's always gravity, but in here, there's almost no gravity. So you're laying in, can't feel the water, you can't hear, your ears are just underwater, you can't hear anything, and it's, like I said, pitch black, you can't see anything, and it's sensory deprivation. It has kind of a, sensory deprivation isn't the best term, we often just call it floating, but people use this float environment for so many things. And I recently wrote a book, The Float Tank Cure, and in this book I talk about all these people, that people are getting help with stress, with pain disorders like fibromyalgia. People are using it for athletic performance, spiritual exploration, meditation. I used it personally for anxiety and panic, and it was honestly a lifesaver for me. So this float tank has so many crazy benefits, and it's just now catching on. One of the guys that's going to take part in this Periscope, I'm going to pass it to him, is named Jeremy Lopez, and he's been floating for 5 years. He's out of Texas, and he's had a float tent for the last 8 months, and he just loves floating too. So in a second, I'm going to pass it to him and let him tell you all about his floating experiences. But if you have any questions, throw them up while we got a sec. Oh, Jeremy's handle for Periscope is Jeremy Lopez TX. So add that now. We'll also throw that on Twitter so you can get on with him and be able to pass it so we can talk about his float experience. I'm trying to think, if you want any more information on what this is, go to our website. It's zenfloatco.com, and it's going to tell you all about what it's made of, how it works, how it heats, the filtration, and you can read all about the user experiences we've had on our blog, which we've had some really amazing ones. We have one lady named Lynn Taylor. She floats for pain relief, and she was on medication for, I think 8 or 10 years on all sorts of medications, and she ended up getting a float tent, and she got off all her meds within a couple months. So they're crazy floating stories, and it's no wonder it's taking off. And at Zen, we make the most affordable tank on the market. So that's the Zen Float Tent. Well, thanks Eugenia for joining. Any questions? If not, I'm going to pass this to Jeremy. I'm sure there's some good questions. Do you still suggest an in-studio? Does this look like a studio? This is actually my house. So let me just go out here. This is my computer room. I have a little tripod because I shoot Tales from the Tank, which you may have seen, Tales from the Tent. So it's not much of a studio, but it kind of looks awesome right now. So yeah, it's a little bit studio-ish, I guess you should say. Any other questions? How do I know these in comparison to a studio? Oh, okay, studio. So you're talking like a float center. So how this would compare to a float center is it offers the exact same environment, which is total sensory deprivation. So like the experience is nothing. It's no sight, sound, feel, all that sort of thing. And that's the same experience we offer. The one that's hard to cut down on is sound, but that's with any float center. If you've ever been in a float center, it's all about being quiet because it's impossible for a float tank to totally cut out sound. So we're working with the same thing, but your ears are underwater and most of the time you float with earplugs. So that should help with sound. But seriously, the same experience in your home for under 2,000 bucks. That's the float tank. Earplugs. You know, there's a lot of questions. We're gonna do another Periscope with like just pure float tank questions. But I do want to pass this to Jeremy Lopez, so be sure and follow Jeremy Lopez TX right now. I'm going to pass it to him and he'll continue the Periscope. But we will do like a Q&A Periscope as well, so follow us, tune back in, and we'll do that. But thank you guys.